That's how many of y'all aren't subscribed. So subscribe. Nigga, we gonna have to fight.
And with this code, you'll be able to get it 10% off. Link in the description.
Alright, y'all, I'm about to tell y'all another story. This time it's not my story. I was involved in this story, but it's not my story to tell, so I got permission. I can tell the story. Obviously, we're going to use fake names, but it is what it is, so here we go. This story actually starts in high school, like long before long before they got together, right? So in high school, there was this girl, Valentina, and we only started talking, I'd say 11th summer. It was during the summer, like summer of 10th, summer of 11th grade, something like that. And I didn't really care to talk to her. She came up and talked to me because she was friends with one of my friends. And I saw her as the popular girl. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. But we started talking. She claimed me as her best friend. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So one day she was like, oh, do you got any friends that are attractive and would be a good relationship partner? So I sent her a picture of one of my friends and she was like, ew, no. Basically, she just went absolute crazy on him, and that shit was fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was hilarious. So I was like, you know what? I got another friend that I can send you a picture of. She said no to that one too. It wasn't as funny. I was like, dang, well, no, that's just mean. So fast forward, that one friend ended up telling me that he DM'd her on Instagram. He wants to be called Diego, right? Cool. So Diego DM'd Valentina on Instagram and they started talking, and one thing led to another. They actually started dating. How? I don't know. I gotta respect it. He pulled, but he did. So they started dating, and he started disappearing from the friend group more and more because whenever she would call, it was like he was at her beck and call. We ain't say nothing about it because don't get me wrong, we guys do it. We do it a lot, especially if it's our first one, because that was his first relationship, and we ain't hold it against him. We just let him do him, right? So it ended up being a very interesting time because while they were in their relationship, I was trying to get over a girl that I had feelings for like 4 years ago, and I was still stuck on her because anything reminded me of her. Like, for example, if I look at the time, it's usually her birthday and I'd be mad as shit. Still happens, by the way. But what continued after that was I was trying to tell him about that situation, but he was talking to Valentina. I was trying to tell Diego about that situation. He was talking to Valentina, and Valentina took over and he started responding to me with what Valentina would have said. And then he ended up telling me that he did that. I'm like, yo, Diego, that ain't cool. So at that moment in time, we had beef. I did not talk to that man for about 3 months. And then Valentina had a birthday party. It was her 18th birthday party, I think. Yeah. And I went. Diego showed up. Mind you, Diego is from out of state. So he pulled up to her birthday party. So that means something, right? So Diego pulled up and we were still on beef, but I was like, look, it's my first time seeing Diego because I've known Diego since I was 9. We played the game together since we were kids. That's over. At that point in time, that was half my life. So as much as we had beef at the moment, that's still my man. That's still my dude, right? So yeah, we didn't get off on the right foot when we first met, but by the end of the night, he had came over to my table. We were just talking about the game and shit. We was chilling. So it was cool. Granted, we still need to meet up again because we need to redo that. Anyways, so he showed up for her birthday and it was cool. Still had beef, still didn't really talk to him too much after that. But then I randomly just hopped in his Instagram live one day, a few weeks later, I'd say a few weeks later, and Valentina showed up and she joined the live and then called him a deadbeat dad and all this other shit and then left. I was like, whoa, what's happening there? So I hit Valentina up. I'm like, yo, you good? What's going on? It's like, that was crazy. So she was like, look, I gotta tell you something. From that moment on, I already knew it was about to get dangerous and I should not get involved. But I did anyway, so here we go. So she ended up telling me that she was pregnant. I was like, oh. And she said, oh, I asked Diego to be there for me. I asked Diego to come and help me out, and he just wouldn't do it. I'm like, that don't sound like the Diego I grew up with. So something not right here. So Valentina was trying to get me to cut Diego off without talking to Diego and nothing like that. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I gotta go talk to him. So after I got off the phone with Valentina, you know, I was just being there, emotional support, whatever. I talked to Diego. Diego was like, nah, I can't let this rock. I can't let this slide. I gotta tell you my whole truth and my whole story. So Diego did. Diego told me how their relationship went, saying how there were good times, there were bad times. There were times where she would make ultimatums to get him to do something he didn't want to do. Otherwise, she would end the relationship. And for him being that it was his first relationship, it was like he wasn't trying to throw it away. He wasn't trying to lose it, right? So he would just cave into what she wanted. And he told me about the whole pregnancy situation, about how he was like, look, I want to be there for her. I do, but I can't pack everything up and leave from my estate because I still got work. And if I don't work, I can't support her in any way, shape, or form. And from my knowledge, she was only, I want to say at most a few weeks to a month pregnant. So they still had a lot of time to really figure things out. So I was like, when I was talking to Diego, I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense. That sounds like the Diego I know. He wasn't trying to abandon her or nothing like that. He was just trying to make sure he's going about it the right way and make sure that he could be there for them. And I'm like, yeah, that's my Diego. But he honestly didn't think I would believe him at first. He thought I would have just believed Valentina and just dipped off that. But of course I didn't. Because, like, why would I? I only knew Valentina for like 2 years. I've known him for 9 years. I know more about him than I know about her. And I know he's a good dude. Like, genuinely. Probably the best one of us out of that friend group. I know he's a good dude. But let's continue on with the story. Valentina didn't want Diego to tell his parents about the whole pregnancy situation. But he did anyway because the pressure was eating him. And I'm like, I didn't say that was bad. I didn't say it was good. That's his thing. But I feel like it was a good idea because if he didn't, it probably could have gotten a lot worse for him, especially since we're all still in high school, mind you. But she was upset and she was trying to tell him to fix it. Valentina got her best friend to message him, telling him to fix it, and then calling him all these names and all this other stuff. And it was just getting real bad for his mental health, man. Diego was going through it. I promise you, every day I was on the phone with Diego. It got bad to the point where Diego had called me and I was talking to him and he introduced me to his parents. Like, I actually was able to talk to his parents for the first time. Like, I knew, like, we would have our little moments here and there where we say something to the parents, but this is the one time I actually like had a full-on conversation with the parents and everything. So like we talked. They had asked me, yo, you be like a double agent, a secret spy to like check on her, make sure that one, she is pregnant, because at this point we don't know what else she's lying about. And two, to really like make sure she doesn't do anything crazy. I said, all right, bet, I got you. So from that point on, I was a secret agent, a double spy, checking in on her, relaying information to them, but also making sure that both parties are good. Because as much as it is just a really bad situation. And as much as she does seem like she's doing the wrong, I feel like I wouldn't want either one of them to come out really hurt at the time, you know? Because if one of them came out hurt, then it's just like, dang, I set this whole situation up based off a joke, and here we are in the deepest shit. So I started growing more detached from Valentina. I started being more distant, like I'd say mentally and emotionally. And then the more I talked to Diego, the more he told me, he was like, oh, Valentina said that you were jealous of her and I relationship. She said that you had feelings for her. And I sat there, I said, hold up, what? I don't even find this girl attractive at all, in the slightest. Now, I don't care about y'all relationship. Y'all do whatever y'all want to do. I ain't jealous of nothing. But apparently, there was more to that. Diego was telling me that she was just talking a lot of shit about me, saying that I wouldn't have survived high school without her and none of that. I'm like, damn, it's like that? So we kept talking, and the more I watched Valentina, the more I couldn't really tell if she was pregnant per se. But that's also because I wasn't trying to like make it obvious that I was paying too much attention to her. Nothing like that. And after a while, it came to a point where Valentina was like, oh, I have twins. I was like, wait, what? And this was after she had miscarried the first time. Mind you, she had a miscarriage. She said that she had miscarried the first baby, and then a few weeks later she was like, oh, I have twins. And then it was just like, what are you talking about? What? But she did call me when she was going through her miscarriage because she wanted someone to be there on the phone with her. I was like, all right, cool, I can do that. You know, whatever you need me to do, I can do that. She didn't want me to say anything. She didn't want me to talk. She just wanted me to be there as a presence. I'm like, all right, cool, I can do that. So then I was just sitting there silent, letting her do her thing. And she showed me her miscarriage. And I was just like, well, I don't think I want to see that. I didn't say that, but that's definitely what I thought. But then after that, I was talking to her. I don't exactly remember what was said, but I know it ended up being her saying, oh, I thought you're being a bad friend right now. Like, how are you going to say this is my fault, this, that, and the third, etc., whatever? I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. What I said was this, that, and the third. But obviously she took it in that way. She hung up on me, and I'm like, look, that's not my fault. Because I really just sat there for, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 hours while she was going through her miscarriage. And just to support her and be there for her so she wouldn't feel alone. But then I get called a bad friend after that. It's just like, all right, whatever. What more can I do? So then Diego wanted to talk to Valentina, but obviously his parents was like, no. His parents was like, look, we can't watch him 24/7 because internet stuff and all that. So we need you to also make sure that he don't do that. I'm like, bet I can do that. So we basically banned him from talking to her. We made sure he blocked Valentina so that way he wouldn't get himself in trouble, because Valentina was threatening legal action. He was saying, oh, I'm gonna have this baby. Well, obviously she had a miscarriage. But she was saying, I was gonna have this baby and I'm gonna take it to a different, out of the country, to be specific. She said she was gonna take it out of the country and then live their life there. So that way he couldn't do anything. And then obviously she was just trying to get him provoked to make him reach out to her and potentially get him in legal trouble, because she told me that she was trying to get a restraining order on Diego. And I obviously defended Diego. I'm like, how does that make any sense? Like, what is that going to really do? And obviously, I told Diego's parents, and that's how we got him to, or that's how we started trying to get him to stop messaging her. Because if, honestly, I don't want to toot my horn or anything like that, but it would have been very hard for him to really handle this situation if we didn't have both his parents and someone on the other side that's actually somewhat near her and can actually talk to her in person. Because she and I went to the same high school. He was out of state. So if it was just him, his parents versus her and her parents, that long distance communication with neither side really knowing, it would have been much harder for him to get more information. But at the end of it all, obviously the relationship ended and they didn't have any more contact with each other. She claimed to have miscarried both babies, and after I graduated, I never saw her again. So that's just how it kind of ended. And the aftermath of it, well, let's say I never talked to Valentina after that. And Diego, me and Diego's still cool. We still talk to this day. And he's actually improved a lot because right after that breakup, right after the graduation, Diego was blowing my phone up every day for hours because he just needed to vent. He needed to get it off his chest. Because remember, that was Diego's his very first relationship. Let that sink in. That was his first relationship, and that's what he had to go through. So he was on my phone for hours every day, venting about the whole thing, venting about the whole situation. And he was just destroyed for a good amount of months. Like, it got to the point where we started trying to make a timeline of events. And Diego said that she sent him a picture of the miscarriage and it looked like one of her normal periods. And I was like, look, I don't know. But Diego and I were making a timeline, and it was like we established that she cheated on him either the month before her birthday or the month of her birthday. I can't remember which. But we established that, and that it wasn't his kid that she was carrying, it was the person she was cheating on him with. And then we also established that she cheated on him at least 3 more times before that. It was like every other month she would cheat on him. Or she would get caught and have that miscarriage. Because while she was pregnant, she was drinking a lot of alcohol. Valentina was not trying to have that baby to term at all. But as far as I know now, Valentina's living her life to the best of her ability. Diego has forgiven everything, and he doesn't hold a grudge against her. And they're both honestly thriving. Well, I can't say much about Valentina because I think she's thriving, but I don't talk to her, so I don't really know for sure. But based off of the last I've heard of her, she's thriving. She's living her best life. And it's cool. Because no one well, I can't speak for her, but no one on my side, me and Diego, we don't hold any grudges towards her or anything like that. We honestly feel bad for her based off the way she had to grow up in her environment, but that's still no excuse to do any of this, you know? But yeah, that was the story. I hope that at some point in time, well, no, I hope that no one has to go through this, I should say. But if you end up in a situation like this, at least you have a reference point. So that's it. I'll see y'all next Sunday with another story. I'm out. Peace.
Fix what is torn. If I'm You can't heal my scars.